So, this is my 4th week of evaluations. I think I'm kind of out of sync with it because we're currently in half term and the lessons I'm talking about were nearly 2 weeks ago. So yeah, because I took a week off of everything, which I probably shouldn't have done because now I'm playing catch up. So yeah, but I'll get to that and reasons why. So we start on the 8th, which is the Monday, and we start the day with a discussion of what musicals are, because Kelly has gone through our liner wits and saw that people aren't really discussing what musicals are, and I kind of have like a counter argument to this, and my point is I know what a musical is and I know the genre of musicals, but I don't like to categorise a musical as like that's a jukebox, because I think it should live as a piece of art as while it is. It shouldn't have to be put in categories. But for the point of lining it and the point of the work, then it has to. So we had a discussion about the different genres, and we played like a little quiz, and she shouted out musicals and we had to guess, it was a fun way to start the day, and it was a fun way to sort of get the ideas in. We then did an art house rehearsal where I watched the rehearsal up to the point where I direct, and I'm kind of, that was sanity for me because I don't know the art house script because I'm not in it. I'm only a dancer. I don't need to know any of the words, so I don't know the script. But as a director's point, I should have looked ahead and read the whole script before directing it. So instead of doing that, I watched the rehearsal up to the point where I direct to see who left the stage then, see where the characters are going, where they've been, just for my own sanity. I also haven't watched it online because I don't want to make a carbon copy of what someone else has already done, because there's no point in that, because they can just go and watch that one. This has got to be a fresher take on it, and from my contemporary European mindset when it comes to directing, I don't want to copy a director. I don't want to like plagiarise something that someone's already done. So I haven't watched it, which is, some would say is a bad decision. I would say it's again for my creative sanity, that if I watch it, I'm just going to keep replicating it and not think of fresher ideas. We then did, it's called Push the Button movement piece. Now this is the part that links Joe and Mickey's story together, because we don't want it to be that the first half is Blood Brothers and the second half is Our House, and that there's never a link, because there's no point in that. And as an audience member watching, then it's just two different plays, and we want to show the similarities between the two stories. So yeah, the first half will be Blood Brothers and the second half will be Our House, but there'll be something that links them together that's clear to the audience. So the Level 3 Foundations have been working on a piece of movement from a song that's Push the Button. I thought it was from the Sugar Babes, but it's not. So we watched that, and they were just going through that and refreshing it. And then the tutor, and Abby, one of the assistant choreographers, they and Charlotte, they got up and started to like take over and direct the piece, which is their job. Sorry, I was just checking. So yeah, we are playing, it's kind of like a there's a lot of like emotion in the piece, and a lot of where they're going and where they've been. I'm just seeing if I already spoke about it. It's by the Chemical Brothers. So there's youth, there's tension, the shutting down, the cogs been working, power, control. So there's a lot of that. So we went over that again, and it's inspired by a Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation. That's where the inspiration for our movements come from. So we I'm playing a worker looking for a job, and it's just like a little part, but I come on stage, you look downtrodden, you don't look happy. It's just meant to represent everything that was happening in the 80s and the 60s and the political turmoil then, and how that's represented now. And I love politics, so I think it's really interesting to show that on stage. Yeah, this then links to Mrs. J and Mickey. So we're linking the two parts together with this movement piece. And it's going to be interacted with the scaffolding, and we're going to throw boards down, and there's going to be comical bits where it looks like it's like what's it called, a boxing ring, and the like girls are walking up with like no jobs, like yay, and we just want to forgot the word, but show the contrast basically between them, and it's really important we work as an ensemble in that, because that's probably a critique that is throughout our whole piece, that we just need to make sure that we're supporting each other and keeping on track, and know that this isn't, forget about yourself and do it for the greater good of the team and the ensemble. This isn't there's no I in team. So yeah, then we move on to the 9th, which is the Tuesday. Again, this was an art house rehearsal, so it was dancing. But instead of me dancing, they did Wings of the Dove. It was my turn to direct. So the scene, my first scene to direct is My Girl's Mad at Me, which is the song My Girl, which I was really nervous to start directing, because I don't usually direct from a script. I usually just go off an idea or a stimulus. So I hadn't really directed from a script before, and because I didn't know the play, like I knew the gist of it, but I didn't really know the storyline. It was kind of just a bit nerve-wracking, and also I've never directed a musical piece before, so it was kind of being a choreographer and a director, which the choreography is completely different to what I do, but as I got into it, I really liked it, and I like to start by telling the actors, I'm not, run it first, how you feel naturally, and then I'll put my input when it's needed, because I don't want to give direction to actors and they feel, as an actor's point, they feel it's not organic and the character wouldn't do that. So I like to watch their interpretation first, then give mine, and we sort of mould them together and see what happens. So there was a lot of pressure under this, because the song timing is really difficult with the song. So that was a lot for the actors to take. I also had to work with the principals and the understudies. So I ran it with the principals, then ran it with the understudies, I ran it with the principals, and ran it with the understudies, and I just kept doing it, so it drilled into them. Yeah, so my inspiration from it, the song is quite, Madness is quite laddish and like pub culture, I'd call it. So that was where I was going with it. I wanted them to be overly animated. So there's a part where Joe gets up and it's like, I saw it as like, it's not a ballad, but this is his moment to milk it. So like, it's proper a ballad, and he's like out there and he's like crying to the audience, like in Evita or something, and proper take it from the audience, get the energy from them, and take this moment as yours, but then contrast that with the people, his friends watching, and they're like, what is happening? Why is he doing this? So that it's a typical musical theatre moment, but has been brought out of context by having his friends then, excuse me, what are you doing there? So yeah, I've got a cold, sorry, but as the piece went on, I started to find the humour in it, and I started to find the animation easier. And then at the end of the song, there's a part of choreography, and to do this, it's called, what do they call it? The Dance of the Drunk, I think, yeah. Or Dance of the Pissed, so one of them. So we took inspiration from the musical purely because I'm not a choreographer, and it specifically says in the script that the choreography to do. So I thought that it'd be best, but I did adapt it to my way, because we don't have actors that can do the things that West End actors can do. So we tested it out, we put some mats down, I made sure that the safety was, I tried to make sure that the safety was 100%, because having it with the boys, they'll just try it and not think about their health before they try it. So we tried it out, and it wasn't as good as honestly, it's not as good as the West End one, but it doesn't look like a replica, which I'm glad about. It looks like it's an inspired version. So yeah, that was really fun, and when I was directing it, everyone seemed really happy with what I'd done, the actors, so that's good. We then went back into the art house rehearsal to watch the changes that had been done to Wings of a Dove. So it had been, before we'd been doing it with Ella, and then head choreographer Sam came in and didn't change it, but just made it more of a wedding, a carnival party, just refined it more, and it needed it because before it felt like we were just like going over it and it was boring, but now it's got some energy to it, and we understand the storyline, so as a dancer's point, it's easier to dance because you understand it better. But I was also like, now I'm gonna have to work harder because I've got to pick up what everyone else has just done while I was directing. So yeah. We then move on to the 10th, which is the Wednesday. This was our house singing. So we did Baggy Trousers and Wings of a Dove. We just keep, each week we just keep working on them. So there's the key change in Wings of the Dove that we really need to work on. The timing. The Baggy Trousers, for me, there's a part in it where I say something in the script, but when we're doing it in the dance, Ella has added in like this part where they go over Pepsi Cola to show like the school thing, and I'm not sure if they're going to clash, so I don't know if to just not say the line because it doesn't really add anything to the scene. I'm not really sure because I don't want them to take that out of the dance. We then did the dance for Baggy Trousers and sang it, and I stood in for one of the dancers because I'm only the teacher in that scene. I just walk across the stage a couple of times. I've got the character down, I understand his motives and all of that, so that's fine. So I stood in for one of the dancers, because I previously knew the dance because I was in it before they gave me the role as the teacher, so it was nice to do that. I then directed Abby in the knife scene. So I'd previously done it with Terry and Aspen. I previously done it with Terry and Aspen, but then I now did it with Abby and Terry. Now Terry isn't Abby's Mrs. Johnston, but Veen, who is Abby's, was busy, so I just had to like fill Abby in. But that was difficult for me because when I direct, it comes really fast for me and it's really organic and I never write anything down. So I'm reading the script again and I'm sort of like, oh damn, what did I do last time? So I'm sort of seeing it through new eyes with a new actress, which I kind of think is good because then it's not a replica of my own work and the actress can do it in her way, and I'm not inclined to tell her, well, the other actress didn't do it like that. It's also a major problem that I don't write things down because I can't forget my own direction. So that's a note which I've taken on and I will be doing in the future, or film it so I can watch it back, which luckily we had filmed and I did watch it back. And it was similar directing, but it wasn't exact, so I just made a couple of changes around there. So I directed the knife scene, then we shown it back to Kelly, and I don't know, I think she liked it. It was just not her vision, and she's kind of in charge of Blood Brothers, so yeah. But I only ever directed the scene because Aspen didn't feel comfortable doing it just like off the cuff when Kelly wanted her to, so we like directed it so she was comfortable with it, and I got a bit carried away. But she likes it. It's just that there might have to be some changes. So instead of Mrs. Johnstone coming on and hanging washing up and stuff, she just said goodbye to the kids instead, and Mrs. Lyons has been waiting watching for a while. So there was just a couple of changes that I had to make, but I do that later on. I also found out about an FNP proposal that we have to do, which is on Moodle, which I wasn't there the week before, but it's kind of like a proposal for what we're going to do in the project. We should have done when we started the project, but we didn't because we were busy in Paris and stuff, so we have to do now, like backtrack. Which I looked through, and it's kind of got like 150 words for this section and that section. It's not a lot of writing, but that's difficult for me because I like to write a lot. So I looked at one of the questions and I was like, 150 words isn't going to be enough. So I really have to refine what I've got to say and not waffle in it, which is going to be difficult. I might have to list it. I'm not really sure, but I'll figure that out. Then we go on to the 11th, and we start the day with like our assessment chat. So on the 12th, which is the Friday, this is the Thursday, our head of school, Lisa, is coming in to watch the piece and to just get a feel for it, really, to see what her money is going to. So this is the running order of the day. This is what we chatted about. So it starts with the street scene, then the vocal collage, then the first scene from Blood Brothers, Marilyn Monroe, continuing order. Then we're showing everything we've tried out. So we've tried out the pram physical and the Bible physical. So we've done that. Blood Brothers ends with kids game because we haven't done anything we haven't done anything after kids game yet. Then we can show the knife scene if I choose to, and then we do push the button and tell me it's not true. And then we flip over to Our House straight after no break, and we do Our House dance, My Girls Mad at Me, Baggy Trousers, Wings of a Dove, and It Must Be Love, and then that's it. So we spoke about that and just refined stuff, and then we ran it from the start. No, actually, we went over Our House dances and refined and added. There was a partner problem in Baggy Trousers because the different ensembles and because we've got two casts, people are switching, but then there's not enough people to switch with, so that's a problem. But they've managed to do that by putting people on the gantry, so that's fine. Then we added to It Must Be Love, the chair duet, which I love performing that. I do it with Abby, and we have such a good connection and a good chemistry on stage that it just feels good to do it, and it looks really intricate, but they're quite simple movements that are really effective, and it's a great thing to perform, and I can't wait to explore that more. Then we ran it from the start. The notes we got back from that was that we just need to take our time and not rush anything. The street at the start needs power, like it needs to be charged up a bit because it's dead and it's not getting the feeling of what it needs to. My milkman still needs work, and I know that, and I'm keep working on it, but I've got something in my head that's telling me that I can't do that type of Liverpudlian accent for him and the lyric and the words, sorry. So I might just go somewhere else around the country, pick there. I'm not sure. Oh, and I also need to get to the other side of the stage really fast. So I come off after saying one bit, and then usually in the script there'd be a long time for me to get around, but because we've cut bits, it's about like 10 seconds. And it's fine, I could get there, but I come back off stage and I'm like looking at my script just to make sure I know, because I speak in quite big chunks, so I make sure I know, and then I go around the stage but I never get there, so I come back and come on the same side as just gone off, and it feels like I'm coming off on the same side too much, and I don't want that. I don't think Kelly wants that, so I need to figure that out, but I will once I am 100% sure on my lines. Also, Tell Me It's Not True, which is meant to be the pinnacle part of Blood Brothers and the amazing bit, we all come on as an ensemble. It's beautiful to sing and you feel the goosebumps when you're performing it, but nobody knows the words, and it's embarrassing. I'm right in the front and we're performing it to Kelly, and it gets to a point and everyone's just like because nobody knows, and then you're listening to people next to you what they're doing, and then you change to them, but then you're not sure if they've got the right line, and it's kind of a massive fuffle basically. And we hadn't ran that song with the what you call it, the instrumental yet, so that also threw us off a lot. So on the Friday we need to work on that. So yeah, then we go to the Friday, which is our assessment day, and I haven't wrote anything down because it's kind of just feedback from Lisa that I'll talk about, and yeah, I'll get to it. But anyway, so the Friday starts and we all come in early, and we feel ready. We run it because we didn't get to finish it, so we start with Our House, and it feels like it's going to be a disastrous day because nobody's turned up on time. Our class have the level 3 extended, but level 2s and level 1s and level 3 foundations decided to not come in at a certain time. The main girl who's playing Sarah isn't in, she's ill, so Jacob is running the scenes by himself, which is just bad. Then the understudy for Sarah also isn't in, don't know why. And then the understudy for them that we cast last week because they wasn't in, Aspen, didn't know the line, so while Jacob was doing it, she was going through it so that she's ready to perform it for Lisa. Just a disaster. No one was giving it any life. It was dead. It felt like it was dying as it was being shown. So after that, us directors needed to talk, and we just was like, guys, what the hell is happening here? Because this is our final piece, and especially for level 3 extended, this is our last thing we're going to do there, and we want it to be great, so we need everyone to rally up and just do it and forget about the I and think of the team. Like, do it for the team and commit, because we were doing the Our House dance, which we all know perfectly well, but no one was coming on, and Abby had gave us places a couple of days before, but no one was coming on. And I was dancing it, and I was like, where is everyone? And Abby was getting frustrated, I was getting frustrated, the directors were getting frustrated. So the talk kind of like, we feel like it recharged everyone, because then after that, we ran everything again, and the plan was to then run everything with the understudies, but we ran out of time because we were running the dances for Our House, which is Ella's job, and Ella was the only tutor in that day. So we ran Blood Brothers and then ran the Our House dances, and we just ran out of time, and Lisa came in while we were running It Must Be Love, and the room was a mess. We wasn't prepared, no one was in costume, because no one was sure what time she was coming in. So we thought she was coming in about 1, she came in at like 12:30, so it was kind of like oh damn. Also Ella just didn't, it was like she didn't know that Lisa was there, and it kind of just left Lisa waiting. So I went up to Lisa and said, hi Lisa, sorry for the mess and everything, no one really knows what's happening. She was fine, she was calm, and I just asked her if there's anything I could get her and when she'd like to start, and she said that we can start whenever we're ready because she's ready. So then I told everyone, get in costume and let's do this now. I kind of made sure everything was ready timing, the sound, and everyone pulled it off. There was understudies for Blood Brothers in their costumes because they thought they were performing for Lisa, but they're not. Principals were performing for Lisa, so that annoyed them. They feel like they haven't rehearsed, which is true, they haven't, but none of us have rehearsed enough. But it's a major thing that when we go back to college, we need to rehearse with the understudies. I haven't done any of my Sammy scenes except Kids Game. So yeah, that was annoying. For the run through for Lisa, I feel like I performed it my best. I felt like I was the narrator, I felt in character. I do kind of feel like he's a bit of an easy role for me, but that's not a problem because I know I can do it. Shoes Upon the Table was probably the best I've done it. Yeah, she was laughing at the points where she needs to laugh. Tell Me It's Not True, we wanted to run previously to her coming in, but we didn't have time, so that was a disaster. Our House, Aspen, Gold Star pulled it off. She was the understudy, and she nailed it, so we're proud of that. Yeah, it was okay, and the feedback we got from Lisa was just that we need to give it some more welly and just go for it now. And also, the physical bits plotted throughout the play don't make sense, like the physical theatre bits, because there's too little of them. So if you're making it a physical theatre piece, you've got to go full physical theatre. You can't go half and half because it just doesn't work for the audience. We understood that because some of us had been thinking it previously to the tutors doing it, but we have, I owned up to Lisa and said we have only directed like up to Kids Game, and there's a lot more physical stuff coming, so you kind of can't get the feel of that yet. She was also confused because we were told previously that she knew that this was a rough scratch and that it wasn't going to be in order, but she thought what we showed her was the order of the piece, like was it finished? So she was confused for the start, and then we were no, like them scenes are not meant to be where they are, but that's how we've been rehearsing it. So yeah, I got a compliment. She thinks that my Liverpudlian accent was good and was one of the best in the class, and it was alright, so that's good. Other people's needs work, but I feel like mine's the easiest because he's an old Liverpudlian, he's not that proper Scouse where it's at the back of your throat. He's kind of a bit calm, and I've really refined it from watching John Lennon and stuff, so I feel like I've got that done. And she was pleasantly surprised, which is good, and just told us to keep working, because if we don't, then it's not going to get done, and it'll be our asses on the line, not the tutors, because it's our piece. As a director, I think because we've been in charge of directing Our House, we need to step it up and go for it, because at the moment it's diabolical. It's not there isn't enough, and we need to make sure that we're standing, because the tutors have a lot on. We need to say, okay, we need to run with understudies, we need to do this, we need to do that, and just make sure that this is the best we can do it, because we have 3 weeks left roughly when we go back, and we are not ready at all. Like, we haven't even, I don't know, nobody knows their lines past to where we've rehearsed from up to, which is the problem. So yeah, just needs work, but it was a nice way to end for the half term, and we have a lot to work on. I hadn't worked for the first part of the half term because I was filming stuff for students at college, short films. Same this week really, but I'm back on track now. So yeah, thank you.